Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Cromwell Board of Education to order at 7:06 p.m. Alessandra, would you please take roll call?
Mrs. Cantwell? Here. Mrs. Cloutier? Here. Ms. Franklin? Here. Mrs. Kelleher?
Here.
Mrs. Lamberson? Here. Mrs. Post? Here.
First on our agenda is to approve the agenda. I do have one change, which would be to move new business, which is the update. We're going to for correspondence, so right after. Alan, second. Lori, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The agenda is approved as amended. And we have celebrating our faculty and staff. Dr. Mahr, would you like to introduce?
Absolutely. I'd like to call up Ms. Tatuno first from ECS. We have faculty and staff from Edna C. Stevens to celebrate this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I have the pleasure of honoring and celebrating the ECS kitchen staff. And out of the 4 kitchen staff members, there are 2, and I'm going to ask them to come up and stand with me. Trisha Cabetta and Leanne Cozen. This team works hard every day to prepare the meals for our students and staff. This is the dream team. They are the most pleasant, happy, and enjoyable group to work with. Trisha Cabetta is our CAF manager, and she does a phenomenal job of leading her crew, making sure that our students get what they need in the morning for breakfast and at lunchtime. Each morning, this crew lines up their breakfast carts to greet our students entering the building. Students get a bag full of breakfast from the cart with a smile and a good morning from the crew, and then off they go to class. The same thing happens again at lunch in the kitchen and in the cafeteria. It is truly amazing, and I mean that from my heart, how they know the students' names as well as what everyone eats, including the staff. At ECS, we're very lucky to have such a caring, kind, and devoted team who truly enjoys what they do, and it's reflected every day when they serve our students. So let's put our hands together for Trisha and Leanne. And also we honor Katrina Johnson and Heather Dillon, who can't be with us tonight, but we'll be sure to see them in the morning. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much on behalf of the board. We really appreciate you, and I'm sure the students do as well, so thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have celebrating Kelly Mahr, Cromwell High School girls basketball coach, for her 300th win. Is she with us tonight, or do we have Mr. Kuckel? You'll be introducing? Okay.
So those that don't know Coach Mahr, she is not one for this type of attention. She is extremely humble, and that is the truth. And so it's just, with great honor, I just wanted to say a few words. So this past season, Coach Mahr earned her 300th win here at Cromwell High School, which is extra special, being a Cromwell High School grad herself, being a Cromwell High School girls basketball player herself. One that came through the program, was an assistant coach, and then rose to varsity ranks. And under her tenure, had to deal with, her success and the amount of success that the team had. We almost became the Yukon Huskies of high school basketball. And I say that with the amount of pressure that was on the team every single year. I think one year you lost in like the semifinals of the States, and it was like people were coming up to us saying like, what happened? What do you mean? We lost in the semis. But that was the bar that Coach Maher helped set. So yes, she had 300 wins, and some of those 300 wins include 3 state championships, countless Shoreline Conference championships as well. And she really, during her tenure here, raised the bar, and we are just so very proud of her and the work that she did. And we do want to just honor her and congratulate her on her 300th win. And I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Coach Maher, if you'd like to say a few words on your behalf. But congratulations again, Coach. It is 300 wins is a lot of wins, and it's not over the course of a 30-year career. She attained those 300 wins in a very short span of time, and we are just immensely proud of her.
Thank you, Mr. Kuckel and the board. I'm fortunate enough to have had a lot of great players that have come through and work together as a team, which is something we try to instill. And to have them, see their success over the years, the support of the parents and the community and all of you, it's been great what they've been able to do for the school. It's brought like a new excitement. And I think in like the last couple years, we've seen how much they really appreciate the team sports and support each other. So thank you. It's not something that was just done by myself. I had assistant coaches. Like I said, the players have been great, bought into the system, really worked hard every day. And without them coming in and practicing and working to get better and make those improvements, we wouldn't be where we were. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Maher, and thank you for being here tonight so that the board can also celebrate you. It's a great accomplishment. I'm sure many coaches aspire to have their 300th win, so congratulations.
Okay, we also would like to celebrate Mr. Sinclair and Miss Nelson from the high school as well. So we'll call Mr. Kuckel up again.
And this will be the students' portion for Cromwell High School as well. We're going to bring it down. Yeah. So I'd like to call up Mr. Sinclair and Miss Nelson, along with their students who made All-State this year: Julia Shuko, Olivia Gaduti, Lori McLean, Emily Kowalski, Amir Klahar, and John Enoch Jr. And part of this is for Mr. Sinclair and Mrs. Nelson. They are our band and choral directors, respectively, who just put on, as you all know, a wonderful musical recently. But their work and their dedication to the program means so much to our students, and I was very happy that we had a chance to recognize their work and their work with their students who made All-State. Because to put it in perspective, this year we ended up having 6 students get selected to All-State, and the next closest is our soccer team that had 2. So 6 is not a normal situation. That is a group of students that have worked very hard. They've worked hard with Mr. Sinclair, with Mrs. Nelson, on that to achieve that. And we're just so proud of the work that they've done as well. And the arts, especially the music program last year through the pandemic, suffered so much, right? And it would not of their fault at all. It was just the circumstances and the restrictions that were placed down from the state of Connecticut, and the fact that these students came back as strong as they did and were as successful as they were, we are extremely proud of them. So again, to have 6 All-State competitors on one team is remarkable. When you put it in perspective to, like I said, cheerleading had 3, soccer had 2. So it is a unique and a rare occurrence to have this, and we are very proud of them. So with that, congratulations, everybody. Job well done. And I will turn it over to Mr. Sinclair and Mrs. Nelson if you'd like to say a few words.
I was over there. We want to seriously thank the board and the town, all the teachers, fellow staff members, educators, custodians, everybody in the building and throughout the district that helps the music program. It's not just us, it's not the students, it's a team effort, everyone involved. So we'd like to thank all of you guys for your continued support, and everyone else in the district that keeps the arts alive. So thank you very much.
So for All-State for Music, what happens is they all went to the Hartford Convention Center a couple weekends ago, and they spent it learning new songs with all of the other students in the state of Connecticut who made All-State. So not only was it an honor to make it, but they got to enjoy this experience that ended in a concert with the band and the choir is made up of all students from around the state of Connecticut.
What do they do in order to make All-State? Like, what
great
is the
question.
tryout process, or how does the selection process work?
So it's actually pretty involved. They first have to do a regional audition. So we're in the northern region. So first they have to get into that. Once they're accepted into that, they can then audition for the All-State choir. And to do that, they have to learn whatever their part is, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. John played mallets. They have to learn that part for a song. It's a song for the singers. I don't know what it is for a band. Is it just another song? Yeah. Okay. And then they have to do required scales to sing or play, and also some sight reading, which they didn't have this year, which is kind of good because of COVID. But, next year we'll be back in that realm. So it's a pretty rigorous audition process, and we're super proud to have this many kids who made it this year. So thank you for celebrating it, everyone.
Congratulations. And if anyone would like to take a quick photo op, I don't know if any parents are here. Feel free. Are they gone? Okay, maybe they're too old for that. Okay. ECS, yep. Okay, and up next, we're celebrating our ECS students. So Mrs. DeTuno, would you like to come on up and introduce our ECS students for their science fair projects?
So tonight we are celebrating our young scientists that entered the science fair. And before I bring them up, I just want to say that thank you to our PTO for sponsoring a science fair. And it was phenomenal this year. It was outstanding. There was not a spot to park your car at Woodside. There were so many people. So it was well received. We were so excited to see all the young scientists come out. And with the help of Mrs. Carroll, who's here from grade 2, and Cherry for our own ECS scientists, we have selected some of the young scientists to be with us tonight. So I'm going to ask Ethan to come on up, Akil, Luca,
You can go right up to
Luna?
the podium, right around the table.
right over here, Elisa. Okay. They're going to introduce themselves and tell you about their science, about their science fair project.
Great.
You're not going first? Okay. Can you guys go first? Okay, Luna goes first.
Okay.
Okay, Luna.
All right, Luna, come on up.
Hello, my name is Luna Ramirez. I'm in grade 2, and my science project was a bulletin board.
Thank you, Luna.
Hello, my name is Luca Samargia. I'm in grade kindergarten, and my science project was dance and rice.
Wow.
Hello, my name is Akil Rudravajla. I'm in kindergarten. My science project was dancing rice. Hi, my name's Elizabeth Stetskiv, and I'm in grade 2, and my science project is magic balloon. Hello, my name is Ethan Stiles, and I'm in grade 2. My science project was leak-proof bag.
Is that all of the scientists, Mrs. DeTuno? Okay. Thank you so much. I love your lab coats. And I hear your science projects are on the back table over there? correct? They're over there, so we can take a moment and just take a quick look at them if that's okay with you. Would you like a photo opportunity with your parents first, though, up at the podium? Okay.
I think all of our parents are over there.
There.
Parents, you can come on up.
Okay, rearrange. There we go.
I can take one with all the parents in there, and then I'll email it out. Okay.
So much. Perfect.
Thanks, Bill. My best with
Oh, that's a good idea. Just go forward a little bit.
Just a little bit so we can get in.
I'll take it with everybody in, and we'll email it to you guys.
While they're taking their pictures, we can go ahead and mingle and look at the science projects if anyone would like to.
All right, so first we'll go Mrs. Haddad, Mrs. Bruno, and then Mrs. Weisel. Go ahead. Go ahead. Stop, you guys. On the count of three, say scientists. 1, 2, 3. Scientists. Awesome. That's awesome. Okay. No problem. You guys. That was so awesome. I'm so proud of you guys. You did so good. You did awesome. Good job. I'm so proud of you. Good job, you guys. Very brave. I love it. Very brave. Yeah, you can go over to your science. Go to your project. But you do it big size. Not much difference. They're the same. They are. I was with 17 seniors. Two of them. I bet you.
Same maturity level, but they still love you.
They still love you. They still smile.
Yeah. Yeah, how about you? So, there's light. There's some light.
Thank you all so much for sharing your experiments with us. We loved seeing them. And thank you to the ECS crew over there. And Mrs. Farrar, I know how much work you put into this. I know you hear me over there. Thank you, everyone. Okay, next on our agenda is, under new business, we moved up. Sorry, should we do student reports first, though? They're later. No, I got to do it now. Okay, sorry about that. Our student reps don't mind. We have one thing before you that we need to get through. That's the CMS building project update. Rosanna Glenn, who is our building committee chairperson, is here to give an update.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you to the Board of Ed for accommodating this evening. So originally I was just going to do some highlights on the presentation, but because there's so many new faces here, if it's okay with you, I would like to go through the entire slide deck. There's only like 8 slides. That's
Sure.
okay? Okay. So next slide. Just basically gonna introduce who the committee is, the rationale, our key decision that we made, and then some important dates moving forward. So the committee is comprised of 7 elected people and 2 alternates. I'm Rosanna Glenn, I'm the chair. Shannon Hughes Brown is the vice chair. And then we have a good selection of pretty much a wide range of people from all areas of industry. And altogether, we make a pretty awesome team, if I do say so myself. In addition, we have all the Cromwell Public School and town members who are also have a good voice on our building committee. We have 2 contracts right now. On the next slide. One is with CSG Construction Solutions Group. Their owner's representative, and then Tecton Architects were selected to give us our conceptual designs, which we use to make our decision as to what kind of building we're going to move forward with the middle school. Next slide. I'm going to go really quick through the intro stuff here. So our mission was basically focusing completely 100% on our students. What is going to prepare them for a future? What's going to have them be competitive coming out of the middle school, out of the high school, really prepared for college, and with all of our neighboring towns, what is going to make sure that they are on par or ahead of all of our other schools in the area. Building a safe and modern middle school. Safety was another one of our big top priorities, especially with everything going on. Obviously, safety was one of our top concerns. Creating an inclusive atmosphere for all students. Fostering innovation in an advanced learning environment, and then enabling STEAM, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics curriculum, which today the school really isn't set up for that. Next slide. This is what the middle school looks like today. As you can see, the last time it was really renovated, if you call it a renovation, it's not really a renovation. In 2001, they added the trailers, which are today, I wouldn't say they're condemned, but they're not used. Is that a good word? Can I say they're condemned? I don't know. They're not used. So you can ignore the little yellow squares. Really, the last time anything major was done to the middle school was 1979. I was 2 years old. The building was built in 1954. And really nothing much has changed. And I'm going to drop a plug right here. May 5th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. If you want to tour the middle school yourself and see how old it is, we really encourage everyone to attend. Share the news, bring your friends.
Do they need to RSVP for that, or can anyone just show up?
Just show up. We'll do a presentation in the auditorium, I think at 6:30, but come whenever you can. We're just going to continue tours through the building so that everyone can see what's going on. Right, Mrs. Cochiola? We're good? Awesome. So, looking at the old building, we looked at student and staff safety, the facility conditions, and the programmatic needs. You can see the pictures at the bottom, some of the stuff that they have to deal with at the school. This is just a small snippet of the issues that the middle school has today. Next slide. our key decisions for key design decisions. There were 3 options that were provided to us from Tecton. One was to renovate the existing building, which was you keep the footprint as it is today, update it as much as you can, new paint, new rugs, try to make it look better, line it up a little bit. Second was renovate as new, where you keep 55% of this current building and then you add another building to it. And that option, you basically kept the major sections like the auditorium, the cafeteria, the gymnasium, and then you build your academic wing or your class wing to the left of where the current school sits today as one big building. And then the third option was to build a brand new facility. On March 30th, at our March 30th meeting, we went through all these options. We spent a lot of time asking a lot of questions. It took about 3 or 4 weeks of us digging through a lot of information, asking a lot of questions, touring other schools, getting good baselines of what other towns are doing to really come to the conclusion that we came to as a building committee, and that was to go with the building the new facility. There were 4, next slide. There are 4 main decision factors that went into us deciding that a brand new building would be the best option for Cromwell. Number 1 was safety. So the current middle school, if we kept with either option 1 or 2, the administrative wing, which is all offices, would remain where they are today. And the problem with that is that they have 0 visibility to parking lots and to basically anyone approaching the school. And this poses a pretty significant security risk. In addition to that, because the school is old, it would have been really hard to block off certain sections as the newer schools allow people to do in case there is a situation. So because safety was...
Rosanna, I don't know how far you're going to go with that, but just wanted to caution you on saying anything safety-wise about our current building, just in case.
Okay. Just comparison, right? The bells and whistles, I guess, if you want to call it, for the new building. With the new building, because you have this main street, you can see it in that diagram right there, that hallway that starts from the bottom and goes all the way to the top. They call that Main Street. You basically can see from one end of the building all the way to the end. It adds a level of security that we thought would be really important for our students. So safety was one of the things that we looked at. Curriculum, again, talking about STEAM. The new building will have pods. So each grade will have its own pod. You'll have your own science area, all your classes all within one area. So you have your 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade pods, which makes it really easy for the students. You don't have to go across the building back and forth all day long trying to run to all your classes. You're all within that same pod. It saves a lot of time, allows for better collaboration between the teachers. The cost differential was another big thing we looked at. The total cost of the project for a new building is actually the least. Costs the least, that's what I'm trying to say. So you'll see that in the next slide, but the total project cost for a new building was actually less than the other 2 options. And the value to cost ratio for the new build was the highest compared to the other 2 options, which basically means all the money you put into the project stays with the new school. So every dime you spend on building a new building stays with the school, whether it's the walls, the materials, the efficiency, all of that. When you renovate, you're spending a good chunk of money just staging, just moving people around, closing off sections, putting up, temporary walls, taking down temporary walls. All of that kind of prep work that has to go into renovation leaves with the building when the contractors leave. So you lose a lot of money. It doesn't stay with the school, if that makes sense. So that was a huge factor because they estimate about $2 million worth of the renovation costs actually leaves with the building. So that's $2 million we could have put into a building to give our students a better advantage. And then the 4th decision factor was the student impact during construction. So if you imagine your child entering middle school in 6th grade, entering the start of a design phase, if you do a renovation, they're going to be in a renovation status for their entire middle school career, because renovation at a minimum will take 3 years. a new building, they're not going to notice anything because the building's being built on a separate area of the campus, so they're not going to be impacted at all. And then after a year and a half, they get to enjoy the new building. So that was a huge factor too, trying to minimize the disruption to the students' lives, because this is a really critical time of their life, and we wouldn't want them spending 3 years in the middle of a construction field. The financials, again, option 1, 2, and 3. Option 3 is what we went with. You'll see that the total project cost is the lowest compared to all 3 options. The cost to Cromwell, these are all ROM estimates, by the way. These are just kind of ballpark figures. CSG right now is working with a third-party estimator to get us a more accurate estimate. It's actually due this week. We're actually hopefully going to review it at our building committee meeting tomorrow night. Another plug, if you'd like to come to that building committee meeting, I encourage everyone to do that at 7 p.m. right here, same station. So just keep that in mind with these numbers. These are just rough estimates. So the state of Connecticut has a lower reimbursement rate for a brand new building versus a renovated building, which is why the estimated cost to Cromwell is slightly higher for a brand new building compared to a renovated building. But again, about $2 million worth of that, you have to think is going to go out the window with the renovation options. So if you consider that factor, it's pretty much a wash across the board. Some important dates on the next slide. So drawing specs were completed. Cost estimates to the bond council are due next week. We're going to get a first preview, hopefully tomorrow night, from CSG. And then in May, there's a bunch of meetings that have to happen. Town council meeting. Actually, next slide is probably better. There's the timeline. So green's been done. Tomorrow, cost estimate should be completed. We go to bond council next week, then to the town council for the town council meeting on the 11th, Board of Finance approval on the 26th. At that town council meeting, we're going to hope they set a special town meeting, which right now is tentatively for June 1st. And then depending how what happens at that meeting, we may or may not go to referendum, which would be 1 week later. And then the grant proposal would be submitted by the end of June, and that date has to be met in order for us to get the grant in time. So actually, if you go back one slide, I should just mention one thing. That figure on the left is the latest rendering of what the new school would look like. You'll see, if this is the first time you're looking at it, the new middle school is over there on the left. The soccer field that's currently there is going to be rebuilt on the right. The pathway around the soccer field will be the new bus route. There's going to be parking lots basically all around that soccer field. And there'll be fencing around that soccer field. And then to the left of that would be the parent drop-off circle, which will be bigger than what you have today, because it's going to be, if you can envision the current parking lot that parents today are going around, you're going to be using up the entire parking lot as opposed to going straight down the middle. Where you're driving down straight down the middle today is actually going to be the parking lot, so you're going to go all the way around it. So it's going to allow for a longer parent queue line and get people off Gear Street. And then there is, because we're going to be disturbing that softball, baseball field up north, that will have to get rotated and moved slightly. And that option is also something that we're going to be talking about tomorrow night. So some of the things that are still up for discussion, at the last special meeting, we talked about the stage options and the auditorium options. Those are going to be discussed tomorrow night. They're going to look at how they can accommodate the size that we're looking for and how they can squeeze it in to the current 83,000 square foot limit. We also have to look at field options. There's been a lot of discussion about what kind of soccer field we want. That'll be discussed as well. That probably won't be discussed tomorrow night, but it is something that has to be discussed probably not before June, but at some point when those decisions need to be made. And the only other thing on here is that May 5th open house, 5 to 7:30. I do encourage everyone to share the news about our open house, as well as we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram, we have a website, we send out newsletters. Our communication plan originally was to send out postcards and paperwork to everyone to notify them of things like we have Facebook, that we have Instagram, that we have a website. Unfortunately, we were not allowed to use those right now. So word of mouth is our friend right now. So if you can please just share that information to everyone that you know, and share our Facebook posts, Instagram posts, I'd really appreciate it. Really want to get the word out to the rest of the community. Any questions? I went through that really fast. I feel like I went through that fast.
You did a great job.
Okay.
Thank you so much for all your hard work and for everyone on that committee. I know many of our board members were also at a lot of the meetings, so some of this might be a recap, but does anyone have any questions on what Rosanna presented? Lori?
As far as getting it out to the community, could an email go out to families just letting them know about these things in case they're interested?
I wish. Unfortunately, because it's political action group has to be so separate from the school system. Unlike all the other things that I email blast out, I'm not allowed to email blast any of this information out. It has to, basically, I'm not able to provide the PAC with the access to the public because it's not legal to do. So,
But it's the
certain-
open
Or the
house
building
part.
committee. The building committee doesn't have access to those either. So the only way we can actually get the information out is by pushing the information out. We can't, or I should say, people pulling it. Like we can't access the distribution list. Unfortunately, there's some legalities around it that won't
they
allow us
can't
to do
access
it.
it, and I'm not allowed to access it for them. It's complicated and all legalities.
I realize the PAC can't,
The
but
PAC
can the building committee?
No,
No.
No.
Okay.
no. But you can sign up for our emails, and I do encourage everyone to do that and share that with your friends. It's our best option today.
The thing is, people don't know about signing up for the emails if they don't know about it.
I
Is-
know. We were,
you know-
again, our original plan was to send postcards to every family in Cromwell to allow them to decide whether or not they wanted to sign up for our emails. But we were denied that option by the town manager, so we couldn't do that.
The PTOs could help if they were willing to, is that correct? That's separate from the schools, right?
No. Well, I don't know if they have a separate distribution. I don't know. I'd have to.
They couldn't send flyers home or anything.
No,
like
so we are allowed to, when I say we, Board of Education, us, we are allowed to distribute on behalf of the PTOs. However, so for example, when Jessica went to speak at the PTO meeting, that's something that happens regularly on upcoming she was on the agenda. We are allowed to do that because it's part of the PTO meetings,
Right.
Agenda. PTO I can't advertise for a PTO in regards to any of this.
No. And we can't give flyers out at the schools either, because that would require teachers having to hand them out, and then that's like a conflict of interest or something. So we're very limited to what we can do right now.
So
unfortunately.
social media, as many people that can sign up and share and then share
Right.
and share. Even our students can share. You could sign up. That would be a great way to pass it around if our
Yep.
students. I usually don't want you on social media, but in this situation, it might be really helpful.
Yep.
Because if it's coming through you, then your friends will get it, and then your parents will share it with others, because I know your parents are monitoring your social media. So we want to make sure we get that out there. That could be a good way to get it out. So it really is a social media era, so we have to use it to the best of our ability.
Yep. And our website has all these presentations also, so you can always download them, share them, in case you think your friends would be interested to hear all about the new middle school. So please do. I really encourage you all to do that. Any other questions?
Lori has one more.
I mean, it sounds like you exhausted all your different avenues. So even the town couldn't send something out to all the residents to let the residents know that, you know, this is happening, and if you're interested, like, why can't the town notify residents? Because people might not even know. I've talked to people who don't even know we're building a new middle school. Like, people just don't even know about it.
We are putting an article in the newspaper. We are allowed to do that. So there will be a full page ad article coming out hopefully early next month.
Rosanna, we do have Steve Forenbach here from Town Council, and he's got some information, it looks like. Do you want to come up to the podium and share?
I just, for the same reasons I think that Dr. Macri was laying out about some legalities, the town can't be a political action committee to promote the school project either. So putting money behind, a mailer like that, I think there's some issues that the town attorney has brought up. So that's where we are with that, unfortunately. For the same reasons, like the school can't just hand over all of its email blast list, or the school the Board of Ed or the Dr. Macri's office can't handle those over. So one of the things I think Rosanna was just suggesting is that they're going to do a full page in the Cromwell Chronicle, in the Cromwell Life. Those go to every household in the town. So that's a way. We could put it up on the digital board at the intersection of West Street and Shunpike. Is there any digital boards at any other schools? There's no digital boards at any of the schools. You could advertise it. You could put the panels up. You could put the labels up at the school entrances that says, building committee meeting. For all the parents that are dropping off in the morning, you could put it up on the CMS one.
But it's not funding, it's just informational, so I don't know why we couldn't, right?
It's just like bake sale, isn't it? Like bake sale tonight, building committee tonight, PTO tonight.
We'll have to get clarification on that, Steve, because isn't that similar to the email distribution then? It doesn't cost money.
Okay, school resources.
It's a good suggestion, though. We'll look into it.
So I will add that, so CSG has subcontracted their communications and marketing work to a company called Tall Timbers, and their experience with other towns seems to be a little bit different than our experience with Cromwell. So I'm not sure if Cromwell rules are a little different. I'm not sure, but some of the suggestions they made would suggest that it'd be okay to do some of the stuff we wanted to do. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so we'd have to get them engaged, I guess, to figure it out for sure. But this is where we are today, unfortunately.
Any other questions about the building project in general? None? All right. Well, thank you very much, Rosanna. Can we attach that slide? Rosanna, it's okay with you if we attach that to our minutes, correct? Okay. Alessandra, if you could do that. Next, we have some correspondence. Dr. Macri.
Good evening, everyone. We do have correspondence this evening. We received a letter. It was addressed to Mr. Kuckel, the high school principal, from the CIAC Associate Executive Director, Greg Simon. We have been notified that the CIAC Football Committee met on April 12th to continue its discussion about appropriate sites for the CIAC Football State Tournament. And the letter is in front of all of you. It has been determined that they became aware of problems that existed in the playing tournament games at Pearson Park, which is the home site for the Cromwell Portland Cooperative Football Team. The lack of permanent locker rooms with bathroom facilities, with forced visiting teams to use a tent before the game and at the halftime is unacceptable to them. The football committee instructed Mr. Simon to let us know that we are no longer permitted to host games at Pearson Park unless significant changes are made, which would include a sheltered, heated, and lighted area for teams to prepare for the game. So the section in the football packet that pertains to this situation is located below, and it tells you from tournament sites that came from their packet as to where this falls under. So I just wanted to inform you that we did receive this letter and that we are no longer going to be able to host state tournaments because of the fields. And this is for informational purposes only. I did forward the email to Town Manager Salvatore, and Ms. Kelleher was on the email as well, just letting them know that we received this letter. Pearson Park is a town field. It's not a field that we, the Board of Education, has to maintain. There are some ideas that are going around. However, this has to become, I believe, a community discussion as to how we want to move forward. And I always say the risks outweigh the benefits, or in this situation, is this something that I am positive it will be very expensive, because we're talking about no longer using a tent and building locker rooms and building bathrooms and changing rooms. That's a very large expense. So that's something that the town would have to think about if that's something that they would like to do. But at this point, we're no longer able to use it. And I don't know if Ms. Maher has anything that she would like to add about the meeting that was held on April 12th. And if you have any questions, please direct them to Kelly. Ms. Maher was at the meeting.
Hi, right now, that is for tournament games, but we also do have several teams that have expressed concern as well for regular season games. So right now, that is postseason, but I would not be surprised in the next couple years if we hear from other teams in terms of just regular season games in terms of the facility because of the lack of that information. We did meet with the Park and Recs Director, Scott Kiris, and Public Works Director, Billy Russo, in regards to this as well. So they are aware of the situation. They know what was, in terms of CIAC, Scott Kiris was also there during the tournament game, so he saw firsthand some of the things that had to go on in order to host that game that we had for 2 games down there.
So you have some concern over the regular games being played in the future as well?
Yeah, we've had teams complain because of the same reasons.
The lack of locker rooms?
Lack of locker rooms, lack of formal locker rooms, changing facilities, and because of the bathrooms later in the year, they're shut down. They're the ones that we have right now are there, but like in the later, as tournament went on, they were shut down, so we had to rent porta potties.
Do you mean the building that's
Yes.
in the parking lot?
Yes, it's not winterized. So once a certain temperature hits, they shut down those bathrooms. So for the postseason, we had to rent porta potties, and they did not care for that.
Okay, thanks. Catherine, did you have a question?
Is that the only concern, or only, I mean, it's a big ticket item, but is that the only one that they were complaining?
I think that's the big one right now. There's some other concerns in terms of logistics down there, open spaces, but in terms of hosting games, that's one of the major things in order to host games.
I know we have the tournament site piece here, but I also know that there are other concerns at the fields that other schools don't have.
Yes, that was discussed with Public Works and Park and Rec. But it is also a park as well, which causes some other issues down there for us in order to host games.
And Portland doesn't have anything comparable that could be used?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Lori?
So is this uncommon? Like most other towns do have those accommodations with the bathrooms
Yes.
and the locker?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
Right, yeah, so.
The school's right there, so they go in and they have the locker rooms in the school.
Should think it's just Cromwell? This is just pretty much?
Could be. I mean, we're the only ones I know of that rent a tent.
was there reaction? I mean, was there concern? Does it seem like people are concerned about it, or?
They may be after they learn.
Yeah.
We just got the letter, so.
Yeah.
Can you talk into your mic, Dipti? Sorry.
Is Cromwell High School a possible choice to host those games?
We don't have a football field to regulation up here. Unless you were going to redo the entire track facility and the soccer field, we do not have a field of regulation size to host games.
So I'm only the superintendent, and I have a suggestion, and I've been told quite often that I don't pay taxes here. So, however, it behooves, and Mr. Ireland is here, to me, it makes sense, but obviously there's a lot of innuendos, that we would do exactly that. We would look at the field at the high school. We would make that a legitimate soccer and football field. And then we wouldn't have to worry about locker rooms because we have locker rooms there. And games could be played at home, and everyone's, these issues would go away. But we know our tracks, so on May 10th, if you're on the facilities committee, or if not, please attend. I'm going to bring the laundry list of things that are not our field, our track. The fourth lane is not usable. We just closed the tennis courts at the high school. We're building new tennis courts. The town is building new tennis courts at Watrous, which is great for tennis, the program, the athletics program. It's not so great for the curriculum. PE and health, they're playing tennis indoors or outside without nets. These are expensive. These are very large ticket items. And quite frankly, many people, we would be going to the Board of Finance and asking for millions and millions and millions of dollars of an increase if the Board of Education had to fund them. So these are conversations that I want to start having with all of you after our next facilities meeting, which is on May 10th, of is it something, they really are capital, they're CNR projects. So through legislation, we are supposed to put together a 5-year capital improvement plan in collaboration with the town. So we have to think about how we're going to do this going forward, and think about how it's going to impact the community financially, and how it's going to impact our students and our schools. There's a lot that has to be done, and I will always advocate for what I believe our students need in order to continue to progress in all areas, whether the arts, athletics, and absolutely academics. And we have a lot of things that have to be discussed, and it won't be easy discussions. However, they need to be had, and this is one of them. This is a big, I believe that would be the most it would be most beneficial to have a football field and the soccer field at the high school, because really you're changing the field, you're making it bigger, but we're not adding a building, we're not adding bathrooms, we're not adding another facility. It just makes sense to me. However, like I've said before, I'm not an architect and I don't know what's involved. It just sounds like that makes sense, and that's what most school systems have. That's just my suggestion.
Are there, I've heard that there are grants or opportunities for grants for things like turf fields and other, are there athletic grants that are available through the state or federally, or?
We don't qualify for a lot because we are a wealthy town. We are considered a wealthy town, so we do not get a lot of grant funding. And even if we are legitimately don't qualify, I'm not shy about doing the work, and neither is Ms. Burke, to apply for grants. We've been told plenty of times no. But unfortunately, we don't qualify, and I don't know if Kelly knows of anything that I don't know about.
I usually talk to Scott pretty much every day down at Park and Rec, so anything he gets that may work for us, he'll send up, but there's really nothing right now. Doesn't mean that there won't be, but as of right now, there's nothing that we can qualify for.
So how do some of these other towns that have built their facilities, do we know how they have done it? Is there
Bonding.
bonding and maybe contributions from businesses that advertise a giant sign like the, I don't know, whatever,
It's out of the scope of,
the Amazon
of my
press
expertise.
box or something, I don't know.
How long have we had football in Cromwell?
It's about 20 years.
Oh. Long enough to have had a field. And is that space where the track is currently expandable? Is it large enough to fit a football field?
As it is right now, no. But if you redo the track, you'd have to move the pole vault. You can make it work within, you'd have to move things around.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that come off and sound as, and it is what it is, that the school system is asking for, that are extremely expensive, and we are. I think this is a larger conversation with the community as far as what, right? Because there's a senior center on the docket, and there's this on the, all these different things. There's a school on the docket. My responsibility is to tell you what our students need and what our school system needs, and that's what I intend to do. But I really don't believe, I think this is a larger discussion that all of you, and of course, I'd be happy to be involved. However, I can't, we can only inform you, give you information of what is needed in the school district. And a lot of these projects have been put to the side for a long time, and we keep kicking the can, and eventually things have to happen. So for example, that right now our tennis courts are closed, and our students are, their curriculum is being impacted. And I got a very lengthy email by our PE and health facilitator, and that's her job. Her job is to advocate for PE and health curriculum. So it's going to start impacting our students, and that's where we're at. So this conversation, I did speak with the town manager today a little bit about this. It's something that has to continue happening. And it is going to be, these are all huge expenses to the town. And I'm very happy that I'm only responsible for the school system, so, because there's a lot of hard decisions that are going to have to be made. So I'm just here to give you the information, my 2 cents about what I think we should do with the high school. But the Board of Education cannot fund that project without bonding or through seeing it through capital improvement. There's no way that we could do that. Just that one project would be more than the very generous 3.81% that we were just granted by the Board of Finance.
Okay. Lori?
Just real quick, the tennis courts you said are closed. So, without going into like what exactly, why are they closed? Like how bad are they, and like what would it be to fix them? And so, are we just closing them and that's it, or what's our plan for that?
So that's a great question. Kelly can tell you how bad they are, and then either Tommy and Kelly can talk a little bit about the person that we had come out and give us a quote. I don't know, did we receive those quotes yet? I'm not sure if they
The
came
latest
in.
ones, I don't think we have, unless, no.
We didn't get the quotes, official quotes in yet.
We've been putting it in for the last couple years. There's cracks that happen over the winter. The crack in court 2 is expanded, and each year that it's not fixed, it expands more. So now that court is totally unplayable. It's a safety risk to people playing because they trip on it, they fall. There's also several other cracks that are starting to form in the other courts, which are starting to expand as well.
So what Kelly says when she says she's been putting it in, so the last few years, and I remember talking about it with Mike Camilleri, and we continue to talk about the tennis courts. You know that last budget sheet that I give you, requests not considered? It hasn't even made it to that sheet. it gets cut. Unfortunately, I have to tell Kelly and Tommy, don't even put it on the sheet. And then, because it's just such a huge expense, it would be more than the 3.81% that we just were granted to run the whole entire school district, pretty much. So in order to get a new court, Tommy, we were told it would be about $350,000, $400,000.
It's more in the range of 450 to 550.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Because
So
they would go. It's gone up quite considerably the last couple of years.
And to fix it,
well, we
talk
were putting
about
in
that piece.
Annually. We'd have to put in between 30 and 50 a year, just to repair things from year to year. And that's just the actual surface, not fencing and other things around it. It's got a drainage problem. It heaves every year. It's an asphalt base. It's not stressed concrete, so it doesn't have it doesn't have a pre-stressed concrete base, so it tends not to work as one, if you will. It just moves around and it just cracks. So when it recracks, it doesn't crack in the same spot. It cracks typically within a couple of feet of the repair, or just past the last repair. So it's a moving target.
So basically, fixing it every year at a cost of, we were told, about $50,000 every year. It's throwing $50,000 out the window, and I don't feel that that's a good use of money that for our students. We can use the money better. So that's our problem. That's one of our problems.
For a town that's considered wealthy, we certainly have a lot of problems that need to be fixed that aren't getting fixed. So I think everybody needs to be concerned about it.
Okay, any other questions on this? No more correspondence? Was that the only piece? Dr. Macri?
That was the only piece,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right, and before I read the rules for public comment, do we have anyone from the public who would like to make a comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the report from our student representatives. Thank you for being so patient. I know this was a long wait. And if the high school would like to start us off, who'd like to go first?
For general announcements, Project Graduation had their clothing drive on April 2nd at the high school. April 4th was the beginning of the fourth quarter, the last quarters to the 2021-22 school year. French National Honor Society hosted a bingo night in addition to having a bake sale. The National Honor Society provided an all-staff with a luncheon for Staff Appreciation Week. Cromwell High School hosted its first dance of the school year on Friday, March 25th. Prom is coming soon to juniors and seniors, and tickets will be selling each lunch wave till April 29th. And juniors will be taking the NGSS Next Generation Science Standards test tomorrow morning, and freshmen and sophomores will be taking the iReady test at the same time.
For sports, the baseball team had a game yesterday against Portland. They won 14-2. Their next game is tomorrow against Old Saybrook. The boys and girls tennis teams competed against Portland yesterday. The boys team unfortunately lost 5-1, but the girls team won 5-2. Both teams will play Haddam Killingworth tomorrow. The softball team won last Thursday against Westbrook with a score of 22-0. They will play New Britain on Thursday. The boys lacrosse team lost last Tuesday to Old Saybrook 14-6, but played a great game. They will play this Thursday. The girls lacrosse team had their first win on Thursday against Rocky Hill with a score of 16-8. They will have a game on Thursday against Old Lyme. Today, the golf team competed against Coggins.
Okay, thank you both. Any questions for our student reps? Okay, we'll move on to the middle school. Jillian, would you like to start?
Mrs. Pavlik, oh my God. Mrs. Pavlik's 7th grade students held a toiletry drive that took place during the first week of April. All toiletries collected will benefit the Eddie Shelter, which is a facility for the homeless in Middletown. The goal is to collect as many toiletries as possible in order to make up individualized toiletry kits for each resident of the shelter. Students and teachers participated. Additionally, on April 6th, there was a hat day to help raise money for the shelter, and the total monetary donation was $177.25. That money will be used to purchase gift cards for the residents. 1,337 total hygiene products were brought in for the Eddie Shelter in Middletown. 2 students, Luke Glynn and Liam LaFave, independently did their own fundraiser and raised $21. They then went shopping and bought a whole carload of toiletries and towels to donate. On Friday, March 18th, about 40 7th graders stayed after to make up 80-plus hot-to-go meals for the Eddy shelter. The meals were then delivered that afternoon. Over 20 families donated food and supplies. On March 25th to 27th, the CMS Drama Department performed Matilda Jr. This was the first musical to be performed on the CMS stage since 2019's musical Shrek. Something that Mr. Borgeson shared with the cast and the audience was that this was the first middle school show that everyone in the cast was able to perform in. We can both say that this is one of the best performances we have done yet.
Spring sports, which include track and field, baseball, and softball, have officially started their seasons. Track coaches Miss Middlebrooks, Mr. Sainaj, and Dr. Bosworth have started practicing with their team, and the first meet will be held on Monday, April 25th, against Griswold Middle School. Baseball coaches Mr. Anino and Mr. Miller wrapped up their team tryouts last week and were able to have their first official practice yesterday. They are looking forward to playing Durham for the first game of the season on Monday, April 25th. The softball coaches, I'm sorry if I butcher this, Miss Kosowski and Mr. Belvet had their first practice yesterday, as well as their meet next week. Now that April break has come and gone, 8th grade students and teachers are planning the end of the year activities to showcase students' accomplishments and celebrate the end of their middle school experience. The 8th grade dance will be held on Friday, June 3rd. There will be a dinner buffet, music, and dancing. And on June 13th, the 8th graders will be going on a field trip to High Meadow Resort in Granby, Connecticut. And the 8th graders' promotion ceremony is scheduled for June 15th.
Great, thank you both. Sounds like a lot of fun activities planned. Does anyone have any questions for our student reps?
Just really quick.
Sure.
Jillian and Charlie, I used to serve on the board of directors for St. Vincent de Paul, and I saw and met many of the families who actually got the resources that you're collecting. And back then I was working somewhere else, but I was always informed of the school systems that contributed, and the support and the look on their face when they get things that we just take for granted every single day that are so needed is worth all the hard work that all of you do. And I want you to know that I've seen the bags of food being passed out, the sandwiches being passed out by students, the people that are in the homeless shelters receiving those items, and it makes a huge impact on their lives. So keep doing that, because you may not think it makes a huge impact, but it makes an incredible impact. So keep doing it, and thank you for doing it.
And thank you for being here tonight. And as you know, you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like, or you can leave. I know you all have homework to do. And just wanted to mention, if we're ever talking about a topic and you have some feedback you'd like or a question you want to ask, just feel free to chime in. So I know we talk about a lot of things that you have a lot of experience with. All right. Moving on to reports of liaisons from the Town Council and Board of Finance. We have both Steve Fortenbach here tonight and John Ireland. Who'd like to start? Steve, okay. From Town Council. Is your mic on, Steve? I'm sorry.
Got me?
Thank you.
All right. I could talk louder. I'm sorry. I don't envy the work that building committee's doing. They're just putting in so much time and effort, and they're making a lot of hard decisions. And I just the effort they're putting in is really impressive. So Rosanna's not here, so hopefully she's listening, or some of the other building committee members. So Town Council's last meeting, we had on the 13th, we had Rosanna come and do a similar presentation of what you just saw here. Again, she laid out all the pertinent dates that are coming up in order to meet that June 30th deadline for the grant. Unfortunately, due to some unforeseen circumstances, our tri-board meeting between the Board of Ed, the Town Council, and the Board of Finance had to be postponed. There is a rumor going around, I'll say that for now, there is a rumor that Tuesday the 26th is what we're looking at as a rescheduled date for that tri-board meeting. It'll be part of a special town council meeting, likely held in the council chambers. I don't have a time for that. I'm not even sure that that's a solid date, but that's the rumor I'm hearing. As far as the tennis courts, you know, you talked about the tennis courts that are going, if you haven't been down there, if you haven't had a chance to see, there's been some photographs taken. They put in this massive rebar setup, and on Friday there was like 60 or 70 truckfuls of concrete poured. It's going to be down, I guess it's going to take about 30 days to cure, and after that they're going to paint it. They're going to get the fences up, they're going to get the lights set up, and it'll be ready to roll. And I realize, I understand that one of the courts will be set up for pickleball. Apparently pickleball is a big thing. I'm unaware of it, but so that apparently is a thing. So I promise I didn't go down there and put my initials in the wet concrete either, so you won't see an SF. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Okay, thank you for your update.
Thank you.
And then from Board of Finance, we have Mr. John Ireland.
Evening, everybody. How we doing? You can hear me? I left this on?
Can hear you, yes.
First, before I get into my piece, they talked before about the science fair that was held over at WIS. I was there with my kids, and it was awesome. It was just so well done, and it was just great seeing an event like that go on, especially over the last 2+ years we've been through and stuff. So the kids had a blast, and it was great to see everybody, and it was a really nice event. So as you all know, a couple weeks back we went through our fiscal year 23 budget hearings, and I want to thank Ms. Burke and Dr. Macri and Chair Kelleher and everyone here for the report and the answering our questions. It was a late night; they always are, but you know, I think everyone did a really nice job. And just remember, we do have the budget referendum May 3rd. So if you ask people to try to get out and cast a vote, make sure that moves forward. That'll, you know, finally put a seal on things. So again, that's Tuesday, May 3rd for the referendum. We do have our Board of Finance meeting next week. Don't think from a funding perspective anything on there is affecting the Board of Ed then, but obviously from the timeline that was in the building committee, I'm aware that, you know, in May, assuming things progress and move forward, you know, we'll have the building, you know, project as part of our agenda. So my name was thrown around a couple times tonight, so I guess you guys have a couple things going on. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And, you know, obviously if this isn't the right place, you can always reach out to me. You know, I've even need my email, or I think Dr. Macri's got it, Ms. Burke, whoever. You can always prefer to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions or go through any logistical items if you so choose to start pursuing certain projects that may have been discussed. So, but any questions that you have? What? Yeah, just start putting the list together. No, any questions for me? Anything I missed?
Anything
No?
at all? No.
All right.
We'll be in touch.
Oh, I'm sure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for adopting the board's budget to the Board of Finance. That was awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay, on to superintendent's updates and responses to Board of Ed comments, action items from the prior meeting.
So really, that was just the big news was that we went to the Board of Finance and requested a 3.81 increase. Thank goodness benefits came in at 0, like we all saw. Otherwise, it would have been much more expensive. But we were fully funded. It was so exciting. I think Ann and I cried. It just takes a lot of pressure off of, because there's so many things that we cut before we even get there. We don't want our students to have to go without. We never do. But just like as when you're part of a family, you have to go without, and our kids go without every day. But this was the bare minimum, and you all saw it. And so it was really nice to be supported and to be heard. And the stress level taken off of the shoulders of Miss Burke and myself, and going back to the administrators and saying, what else can we cut, has really been a gift at this time of year when we are focusing on other things as far as the building project and everything else. Quickly, just to update you, I mentioned it earlier, May 10th at the Facilities Committee. Even if you're not on the Facilities Committee and you would like to know about our structures, our fields, our grounds, and the areas which really need some attention. Ms. Maher and Mr. Latwinzik and myself are going to review that with the facilities committee, and then hopefully we could turn it around and report it out to the board meeting that night. I kind of said it before. I don't know, I feel badly for everyone. There's only so much money, and there's only so much money to go around, and I know there are really huge decisions that have to be made, but we have a lot of things that need upgrading. So I just want to put that out there and make sure that you know and that you're informed, and if you want to know specifically, we're going to talk about it on May 10th. We already have a little presentation ready for you. And I believe that is all as far as I shared this with you. There was an inquiry from the building committee about central office as far as the ed specs regarding central office, and we did provide to the building committee a list of all of the personnel who works at central office and what their roles are and whether or not they're confidential employees and work with confidential information. And sent this on so that it could be posted as part of the FAQ as to central office. A central office is needed. So I actually can send it to you if you'd like me to do that. I could forward it to you.
What was the relevance about whether they work with personal information just because they may need an office?
Yeah, so what's happening right now is we have 3 people in areas that work with confidential information and don't have an office space. They're in the, and even if you put up the panels and everything else, you could still hear what's going on. Central office is so small that you can hear when meetings were taking place right within central office. So we bought sound machines, which has helped a little bit. But, and then obviously we don't even have a place for Mr. Latwinzik and his administrative assistant. So they work out of WIS. And it does make things difficult because you do need everybody in the same building. We are close enough, but he makes about 20 trips a day back and forth to all the schools. And when we're talking about projects and a lot of money, that you need to have face-to-face meetings. So Ann and I are constantly, we met with Tommy today for over an hour and a half. It just makes things a little bit easier for us to move quickly. And the quicker we move and the better decisions that we make, the more efficient the schools are, the better off the kids are. So we're not efficient. Central office is not efficient in any which way. And I say it jokingly, but it's really not a joke, and it's really not about me. It's about the staff that works their tails off in that building every single day. They do not have somewhere to wash their glasses and their dishes. There is not a sink in there. You're using the bathroom to wash your, you can't even make a cup of coffee and wash your cup out. And as funny as that is, it's really not. It's cultural, and I'm pretty happy and impressed and proud of the team at Central Office because I think we have a really darn good climate and atmosphere, and that is not easy to do. So I thank the people at Central Office for the hard work they do every day, day in and day out, because they're either freezing or sweating and can't wash their dish or their cup at work, and they're there a lot. They spend a lot of time there. So that is something that I think needs to be recognized and not, I know the question was more directed at me. I really would work out of my car. You want us to work from home? We'll all work from home. But the problem is that we can't. And in order for us to be efficient and to do a really good job, we need to be together. And we have a heck of a team. I don't want to remind you all where you were 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And I'm not giving myself that credit. I'm giving it to the credit of the team. And it's a really good one, and they should be treated respectfully. And that's it.
Okay. Any follow-up questions? No. Okay. Next, moving on to presentations and reports of administration, we have the 2021-2022 budget update reference A. And we have Finance Director Ms. Ann Burke. If you'd like to come on up and explain it for us.
Good evening. We've included in your packet the budget summary as of the end of March. And just a brief memo. Not a lot of things have changed. We are holding steady with just a small surplus balance at this point in time of about $62,000. We will do everything we can, obviously, as we do every year, to monitor all our expenses and to spend the budget the best way we can. And I will keep you updated over the next few months. I do not anticipate ending the year with a $60,000 balance. I do think that it will be a very, very tight year, as it was last year and previous years. But for now, we're okay. We're monitoring everything. Right now, we're only approving purchase requests that are related to health, safety, and immediate needs that we couldn't say, let's think about this. Is this something we could perhaps wait until next year? Maybe we could find another way to manage whatever the needs are. So I'm confident that we will end the year in a good spot. I don't obviously at this point know what that number will be, but we're working really hard to make sure that we make good purchase decisions every single day.
Are there any questions? I had a very quick question, just where it says the CMS billing project created a deficit in the other professional technical services category. Is that something outside of the amount that was allocated by the town?
Yes.
Okay.
The Board of Education has to fund the CSG owner's representative services for the project, which is about $76,000.
Right.
So that is coming out of our budget, but we didn't budget for it.
Right, okay.
We weren't aware at the time of the budget last year that that would be an expense that we would carry.
Mhm.
So that is something unexpected that we have absorbed.
And we've heard nothing about fully funding ECS yet either, correct? Education cost sharing, I keep hearing that it might be. No news on that front?
No,
Okay.
I wouldn't anticipate that they would do it for this year.
Okay.
Either way, I think it would be legislatively have to be passed, and it would probably, if it happened, would be a July 1 of any given year. But I'm not thinking that we will receive additional money from the state of Connecticut. And that type of money comes into the town to help them fund our budget. So I'm not sure that that would directly come to the Board of Education. Should that increase, that's something that we would have to kind of discuss.
Oh, I
because it
didn't realize
hasn't
that.
happened before.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, thank
That's a
you.
really good- Does everyone understand that? I think it's really important to understand that money goes to the town to help them fund us. So even if it was to increase, it would still go to the town. And I think it's hard, we don't get that extra. It goes to the town to subsidize what we
It's
just.
specific to special education though,
specific,
right?
yes.
So if our needs did increase, you'd go to the town and.
No, this
that-
is
oh,
not related to.
Sorry, okay.
This isn't related
Okay.
to the excess costs grant.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
both ECS.
Educational cost funding is money that every town receives from the state of Connecticut to help the towns support education. The excess cost grant is based on your special education students' costs, subject to a threshold, if you will.
Mhm.
And that's not something that's being discussed as being fully funded.
Okay.
That's typically around 70% reimbursement based on what you submit for costs, less
maybe
that
I was
threshold.
mixed up. I
And
thought
that
that
money
It's
was
comes to
confusing.
us.
Okay.
It
That
is.
money comes directly to the
That money
district.
comes
Okay.
directly
They're both
directly to
ECS,
us.
which makes it-
And I have seen the percentage go up a little bit, 70, 72. I mean, it's possible, but they won't necessarily tell us that ahead of time. We'll just receive our final payment in May, and then, that could really help support ending the year. Unfortunately, we don't receive prior communication, but I'm hopeful that that might be increased. If we got 72, 74, 75% of that, it's a pretty significant number for us, so that would definitely be good if the state decided to fund that at a slightly larger percentage.
Would be nice. Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Old business, we have none. New business, Cromwell High School Career Pathways Concept Presentation. We have Mr. Kuckel. Come on up. And you should have had this in your email today if you had a chance to look at it. If not, it's right there for you.
All right, good evening. I have Mr. Borgia is with me, Mrs. Morello, and Mr. McGuff, all contributing to this program. And the purpose tonight is primarily informational. This is a program that we want to start at the high school, and we want to make the Board of Ed aware of the idea and what we're trying to do long term here at CHS with the Career Pathway program. And then hopefully we can, answer any questions that you may have tonight, and hopefully at a future board meeting actually act and, add this program to the high school. And more specifically, would really go as an add-on to our program of studies. So the Career Pathway program, this is something that the three people, teachers up here with me, it's one of those where everyone had this in mind, and conversations were happening, and then we ended up having a meeting back in December. I had an idea, and then the three of them were like, wait, we know where you're going with this, and essentially that led us on a site visit to Killingly High School that has an expansive career pathway program, in excess of 22 programs, I believe, career pathways. Beautiful 10-year-old high school, absolutely gorgeous. But really gave us an excellent opportunity to really pick their brains, see what they did, how they started it, and its purpose. So with that said, I am going to turn it over first to Mr. McGuff, who's going to just take everyone through essentially what this program is, what we're trying to do, and why we feel like it is so important to bring here to Cromwell High School.
Good evening. We're going to start off, you can go ahead to the next slide. So there's actually a video here, but we're going to kind of skip the video just to kind of keep things rolling tonight. So I'm going to just kind of summarize what the video talks about. And really, it is in the trend that has been in education over the last 3 decades or so, where the focus shifted in education from preparing kids for their career to preparing kids for college. So the focus became college, college, college. And you can see that in talking to any kid who is, trying to figure out their future. The first thing they want to do is figure out what college am I going to go to. And then after they figure out a college, then they'll try and figure out a major. And then eventually they'll fall into a career, which is really kind of the backwards way of doing that. Really, the focus should be on career first. And then you pick a major that fits with that career. And then you pick a college that is good for that major. So we're kind of doing things in that opposite order. And that has led to some staggering statistics, which you can go to the next slide. Oh, that's going to play the video. You can just skip that ahead one more time. There we go. So the dropout rates, and this actually says nationwide data, but it's actually Connecticut data. This is Connecticut data. So 30% of the dropout rates come from college freshmen dropping out before their sophomore year. So first year of college and they're dropping out. 30% of dropouts are that quickly. 56% of students enrolled in our 4-year colleges drop out within 6 years. Huge percentage. And then, of course, the last one, 14.7% of recent high school graduates complete a BA degree within 6 years. Only 14.7. Okay? So you can go ahead to the next slide. So there's, yes. Yes.
Is that data recent to include like COVID years?
I don't believe it includes COVID years because I actually think it's gotten worse with COVID.
It's the last data that the Ed site for CTE Connecticut has reported out on. but I want to say it right at 2020, so it wouldn't have included. It would have been that final year, you know, of 2020, but not 2021 or 2022.
So there's several reasons for this, obviously. We've highlighted a couple here. So one is pressure. Many kids feel pressured that they have to go to college, you know, either by friends, by, you know, well, that's what my friends are doing, so I have to do it, by parents, lots of reasons, but they're feeling that pressure. So they get themselves involved in college, even though they're not necessarily prepared for that, or that they don't necessarily need that for their career. Another is doing that cost-benefit analysis. So seeing how much it's going to cost you to get the degree, and then how long it's going to take you to pay off that degree once you start your career in that field at its current rate of pay. And then another one is the anxiety, where students, you know, just kind of not built for that college life, not built for that college plan. So, you know, there are obviously other reasons, but those are some of the major reasons that came out of this. Our plan with this career pathway program is to address some of those issues and start shifting that focus back to career and giving kids the opportunity to try and investigate and figure out what that path is going to be before they start spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it or wasting career years in their life. So that's where we're going to introduce our Career Pathways program. Now, the Career Pathways program is not a new idea overall. There are schools that have had this implemented for years now. There are many schools shifting to this type of a plan at this point over the last couple of years. So we're gonna introduce our plan and try and get that rolling within this year. So I'm gonna pass over to you.
So Rob, next slide if you don't mind. Yeah. So our goal here, so what we're trying to do is we're just trying to explain the program. We're looking to really get like some real backing here. Unfortunately, the finance is not here, but this is going to come with a cost, and this is something we need to. That's why we want to come and talk about this. We want to make sure that everybody realizes for the shift to happen, we are going to have to spend a little money. And we really want to just talk about how we're going to fill these program gaps that we have. For us to have a full career pathway, with the courses that we teach currently, there's only so much we can do. So for us to keep this going, we are going to have to fund a little bit and start filling these gaps so we can start adding some more careers. Because we do have about 15% of students, and this is data that we surveyed within our own community here, that don't have any idea what they're going to do. 15% is a large number. And not only that, but you have a lot of students that are saying they want to go to college, but they're saying they want to go to college because they think they know what kind of career they want to get into, but they really don't even know what that career is. It's got a cool name. I want to get into it because it sounds cool. But then they get into it and go, oh my God, this is not for me. So we're looking, the whole career pathway program here is supposed to get these kids immersed in the different careers that are around us today and really get them prepared. So what we're going to get here is a few different things. You're getting student success because you're going to be increasing engagement. Kids are going to be taking courses because they want to be there. We're trying to get rid of this, why am I learning this? What's the point of this class? Why am I learning this math? Why am I trying to learn this, this English class? What's the point of all this? We wanted to use this career program to really get students engaged within their classes, and to do that, it's going to take a little bit of a shift here and there. We're looking to get kids more into the different careers. Can we get kids outside of school? Can we get them, for example, into a job shadow, some kind of internship, so that they could just get an idea of what they're getting into? We want to give them opportunities to build relationships with various, different types of companies that we have in Cromwell. There are a lot of different companies in Cromwell, different industries that students can get involved with and build these relationships with. And you know what? There's a lot of trial and error. If you think you like something, you go into it and you're like, oh, this is not for me, I got to get out of here. That's fine. At least you tried it now when it's free, not when it's going to cost you a lot of money. So this is that opportunity. This is where you're getting that chance. So we're going to go, Miss Morello, get into a little bit of data after.
So, like they both said before, the career pathways, this isn't something new. This is something that's being done nationwide. And it's not just to help students, right? There's also the end goal of having a stable economy and for each individual to have that sense of economic stability as well. So to kind of put it all together, Connecticut has, do you want to go to the next one? These are the different career clusters that are already identified by the state of Connecticut. And there's actually 2 more that aren't included only because part of this was for, these are the ones that are supported by Perkins, which is a federal grant that supports career and technical education. So I'm not going to read to readers, but these are the different areas that are considered career clusters. Within career clusters, the idea is to create different career pathways. So these are is the overarching umbrella, and then underneath there are all the other facets of jobs that are in that industry. So if you go to the next slide, we did do a labor market analysis, and all this data came from the Connecticut State Department of Labor. And if you look to see where the jobs are going to be when our students graduate, right? So we want everyone to be successful post-secondary, but part of that post-secondary success is leaving whatever program you go into, whether it be a 4-year college, 2-year college, with the end goal of getting a job, right? And not having this, okay, so I spent all this money on my college tuition, and now what? So these are the different areas that are going to have the popular occupations that are considered in demand, high wage, and high skill, which is essentially where we want our students to be. The nice thing is we also surveyed, as Mr. Borgia alluded to prior, we surveyed our students, and we had a high response rate of about 70% of the whole student body. And we asked them what careers they identified as wanting to get into. And they really did match up quite nicely with the ones that are in demand. So that's great that our kids are picking jobs that are going to be there in the future. So if you look at the students that were surveyed and the areas, health science is by far the highest one and one of the most needed, followed by architecture, construction, business management, STEM, and education. Is that me? I'm done after this one? Is that you? Okay.
So looking at what we have, so we're trying to start this program. Of course, as Mr. Kuckel mentioned, we went to go look at Killingly. It took them 20 years to get to where they are right now. So obviously, in our infancy here, we're trying to start this with what we have, without really changing too much fund. We're adding any funding, without changing courses, just taking the courses that we currently have. We have 3 different pathways that we can offer. Now, this would be something that we would offer starting this coming fall. In your folders, there's actually what would be going into the program of studies with the rest of the program of studies to show these different pathways. It would be one in information technology, taught by Mr. Shanti. It would be one in business finance, taught by Mr. Graham, and then one in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM, taught by myself. So these would be 3 pathways. These pathways, I know obviously, one of the questions is, well, what about all the seniors currently? Are they going to be, exempt? They're not going to be able to get this opportunity, so forth and so forth. Looking at the courses that we currently teach and looking at what courses were given to these students over their 4 years, we could pretty much get them into this pathway. They might need to take like one extra course here and there, but most of the courses that a lot of these students take give them this opportunity to get a pathway completed. Now, we're looking obviously to expand this. So looking ahead to our following year, we're looking to hopefully add like an education pathway. Mr. LeMay currently right now is building just a course that he wants to start offering this coming fall, an internship within PE and education. With the course that Ms. Morello teaches in education and the philosophy courses, human studies, that right there will give you another possibility for another pathway. So again, we're trying to take what we have, we're trying to build as many pathways as we can, but fortunately we're going to hit a wall at some point. We would like to offer some kind of health studies eventually. Of course, that would come with a slight cost, that we might have to discuss. But this would be definitely a start. And this is, for example, and Ms. Morello will explain it if you go to the next slide.
So this is, Mr. Borch had put in the packet what the actual courses would be. This is how it's compared to what our current program of studies is, to ensure that students are meeting the graduation requirements that are set forth right now for them, with one exception, and there's an asterisk next to it at the top of senior year. But if you look across, you're still taking your English 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And it's easy to map out. And the reason for doing this and the way the courses are staggered, one, we want kids to be able to leave with as many competencies and credentials that they can, right? So the ideal hope is that you are leaving here with college credits under your belt. So you're going into college with 15 credits. One, that helps you just for your future in terms of taking the classes, dealing with the different stressors for your first year of college, keeping kids in college. But then from a financial aspect, taking college courses at the high school is $150 compared to a 3-credit course being $3,000. So from that standpoint as well. The other reason for doing it the way this is that for career pathways to be successful, there have to be multiple entry points and exit points. So if you decide along the way, this is not for me, you can get out and you can enter into a different pathway easily without having to take an absorbent number of additional classes. The asterisks for semester 1 and semester 2, senior year, would be indicative of the hope that students are getting out and doing internships in the community, developing community partnerships, as well as advancing their career abilities. You really need to
So,
staple better.
future needs. So our future needs, for example, for us to, this coming, years and so forth, for us to get this to be a lot more, get more in depth, get a lot more, get these classes more intense, give the kids more opportunities, we do need some more equipment. For example, if we want to get to more manufacturing, it'd be great to add another CNC. It'd be great to add some more computers. Health sciences, there's a lot of apparatuses we can somehow, we could purchase to give kids more certifications. It'd be great if kids are leaving here with CPR certifications and various things that when they get into the field, they're already prepared. If we get kids ready with an OSHA 10, for example, they can get into various trades. There's a lot of different things here that we could be preparing kids and giving them before they leave high school. Unfortunately, a lot of them come at a cost. To get these certifications, it does cost money. It'd be great if we could fund this for the students so that this isn't an extra cost for them and we're giving them a leg up into their career. And again, they're getting to really see their career. So this is something that they really are into. So it's not just throwing money at somebody because we feel like it. I'm really passionate about this career. And it's Cromwell saying, let me support you and let me get you into a position where you could succeed in this career. So that's what, trying to make our kids a lot more marketable.
Which benefits the town as well.
Yes.
Because the hope is that then they are, bringing those resources back into the community. So it does serve dual purposes for Cromwell community as well as our school community. Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's fine. Because again, as Ms. Morello was stating, that's one of the outcomes. We're looking to stop kids just signing up for classes because I have to fill up my credits. So let me just sign up for another class because I need another credit somewhere because I have to fill 6 classes. When we could be getting kids out there and meeting GKN and going out there and seeing something that's actually happening in the real world and getting that experience. And we're trying to get the students more engaged in classes. I'm taking Mr. Borges' STEM class because those engineering principles are something I'm actually going to use. I'm taking the technical math course because these are the type of math problems I'm going to see in the electrical field. We're trying to get the kids to look at these classes and take more ownership in them and want to be more into them. But we hope that we could get kids into these internships, get them some career or experience with real companies, get some experiences with, what does it look like in the real world? What does a workday look like? Is this something that I'm interested in or is this something I'm not interested in? I had a student come to me with, he just graduated last year. He thought civil engineering was the greatest thing ever. I think civil engineering will be great. this is great. We get to go out. And he said, I am so wrong. It was the worst thing I ever did in my life. And he said to me, he goes, I had no idea. I thought civil engineers just get to go out and do stuff outside. And I said, no, unfortunately not. My uncle's a civil engineer. He's got very nice boots. They sit in the car. He does a lot of math. It's a lot. Yeah, I noticed, he said to me. That's too much math for me. He wasted a year at college. And it's sad because this is a student that excelled well here. And if he just got that opportunity to go see what a civil engineer really does, there's a civil engineering firm out in Rocky Hills, Close Jensen and Miller. He could have went and saw them, saw what it's like to be in a day in the life of a civil engineer. Notice that there's a lot of math problems, and they're a little intense. So that's the type of stuff that we're hoping comes out of this career pathway program. And of course, this is definitely a process. Killingly, like Mr. Kuckle said, we went to go visit. It took 20 years to get to that point. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. But like Mr. McGuff said, this is a whole mindset change. We have to start kind of giving kids the opportunity to explore a little bit more, and be able to kind of get out of this college mindset. Because if kids can figure out before they leave here the career that they want, I could guarantee you they're going to be a lot more successful in their future endeavors. Anything else you want to add? Oh,
right, because the idea is if you're career ready, you're college ready. So this really does increase equity for all of our students as well, because not only is it just focusing on college, which we know around 70% of our students that we just talked to, they definitely want to go the 4-year path. But for the other 30% of students too, highlighting trades, highlighting different avenues to different careers, ensuring that every student eventually has a pathway that they can follow as a clear guide for their post-secondary success is really the goal.
Just quickly.
So just to clarify a few things too, this program, it would start their freshman year. When they come in as 9th graders, they would end up doing a career survey, essentially, so they can start thinking about where they want to go, what they want to do, with their life. This program would have an internship component. So we would be pushing kids out into the community. We live in an excellent part of the state. We have a lot of resources, a lot of businesses within Cromwell, Rocky Hill, that we really need to take advantage of, especially when it comes to manufacturing and the defense industry and whatnot. So that would obviously help offset costs. We're hopefully we can have these partnerships with these local businesses. And we know that's a lot of work, but we know it's valuable work and work that we want to undertake. And then the other piece is, in terms of a drawback of the program, it is very teacher dependent. So one of the things Killingly, talked with us about is that if they had a program that was family and child development, it was really going through one teacher. So when they lost that one teacher, you might not replace that one teacher with the same credentials. So that's something that we are mindful of going in. That's why Mr. Borgia has signed his life over to me, and he's never leaving Cromwell High School, along with Mr. McGuff and Mrs. Morello. But that is something we're aware of, and we would just have to navigate. But there are there's many more components to the program. But the internship would be one mandatory component for the career pathways, and as well as really starting at that 9th grade year. And I think just to recap what everybody said, it's really shifting the mindset and taking really this program of studies that we have that is so compartmentalized and giving it purpose. And so students can see that, because I would say top 5 question that aggravates a teacher, right, is what do we have to learn this for? But it's a great question. It's the best question students ask. And it's the one that this program will help us answer and help them see it. So.
All right, I think Alan has a question to start us off.
Yeah, what percentage of the Killingly students participate in this type of program?
Oh, jeez. It was 80%, right? Yeah. I believe the estimate was 80%.
80%.
Yep.
So I'm really excited tonight, right? Because I have passionate teachers and I have eager students here, and this is like the best board meeting ever with all the other bad news. But I love their passion, because this is why I went into this field too. There's one piece that we talk about so much, and that's our kids' social emotional well-being. And a lot of their social emotional well-being is negatively impacted by the pressure that is put on them for not knowing what they're going to do with their lives, which people start asking them at a really young age. We just did it. You know, are you going to be a scientist? And that whole piece, when kids are doing something that they love, or at least trying things to see if they love it or they don't love it, or they don't like it at all, or that social emotional wellness component is a huge factor. And Laura, Miss Morello talked about the equity component. A lot of people say, well, we're saying kids don't have to go to college. No, actually, we're saying they're ready for their career, which means now they really are ready to go to college, to follow that pathway. It is expensive. There's a lot of things we've talked about a lot tonight that's really expensive in Cromwell that we want to be able to offer our students, and we have pockets of this happening already. But we only have one Mr. Borgia and one Miss Morello and one Mr. McGuff that we have to share because he does quite a few different jobs. But I have people lined up at the door. We have kids lined up at guidance trying to register and sign up for their classes, and we have to take them away. They teach 6 classes. There's nothing more that we can do. We have to grow this program, and it's going to be expensive, and you're probably going to see it in the budget next year as Mr. Kuckel presents his budget as far as career pathways, because it's the only way. You have to put into it first before you start to reap the benefits. But the truth of it is we have kids sitting in study halls when they would be dying to be in Mr. Borgia and Mr. McGuff and Miss Morello's classroom. Miss Morello doesn't even have a classroom, and they're dying to be in her classroom. I can't even get her darn classroom done because of financial and political constraints.
Yeah.
So these are the things that, this is why we're here.
Killingly High School did it, just a few examples, right? Like they have Sturbridge Village is close to them, so I'm a history guy, so I'm going to throw this one in here. And they have a partnership there where they send students there, and they actually, it's part of their history curriculum where they learn about certain tools and whatnot, and then essentially Sturbridge hires them to create reproductions that kids then use at Sturbridge Village. So they then go back, they work on that, and go back and push it back out. They have the shed project there where they end up building projects for the school. They build a shed within the wood shop, they break it down. But I mean, again, it's all career readiness, career pathway related. And again, we just have so many resources here. So I mean, that's going to be a big part of our component here is getting as many business relationships as we can to get students out there so they can see this, and have an actual work experience. And then the goal would be with some of these career pathways is that they're ready, they can get a job right out of high school, and have the skills needed to succeed in those jobs. So yes, career college pathway is still there, but they can still get right out of college.
I just want to make a comment, just listening. I missed the first part of it, but I see this as being very inclusive for all the students, and in particular thinking about how students with disabilities, they could be easily incorporated into this because we kind of do that now with the life skills program, going out into the community, working on job skills, and this would be available to everybody because no matter what level you're at, finding the job that fits you. So I'm just looking at it through that lens. It sounds really good.
Yeah, absolutely, Lori. You hit it right in the head. Yep.
So the health sciences was a very high number, and I know that we have some great science teachers here. I don't know how we could incorporate potentially using some of them for some of the health sciences and everything, because that's a big one.
So that is actually a pathway that we're looking at and trying to build. The tough part about that one is, so with this initial launch, we're trying to use what we have existing currently. So not changing any of the classes, not changing any of the curriculum. And so we don't have a huge focus. Yes, there's a biology, yes, anatomy, but we don't have a hugely directed health focus yet. But we're actually in process of building one with some of those, those kinds of options in there, the statistics and those types of things. And we hope obviously over the next year or so to be branching out a little bit on that and maybe starting to look at some of those other areas where we could add that, maybe adding in a kinesiology using some of our PE teachers, or even linking outside to community and maybe linking up with I know there's talk of maybe having EMT course where they could get certified in EMT. So you're getting a little bit of that medical experience. So we are looking into that because that is one of the largest fields that students go into.
Have we considered just, I know we want to fund for them, but just to at least kick it off, offering some of these programs at the cost to the student as an option to register, doing it either before or after school, but just hosting it here at the school so that just to get that's hard. That's the hardest part for some of these students is finding a place to do some of these things and physically getting back and forth to the locations.
In that, that's also where our schedule that we just approved will come into play, because that flex time that we created, if that's successful and we can expand that and make that a larger chunk of the time in the day, then yeah, we could have somebody come in and actually teach that during the day, make it available to students, and make it accessible for them. So there's absolutely creative ways that we can get around certain things. I don't think anything's off the table as we learn and navigate and learn what other schools have done.
We have to be careful with, just because of so many of our students are involved in other after-school activities, but flex time is perfect. And before school, we also have, we're working on a relationship with the fire department to teach EMT and a CPR course. So they actually do the teaching of the course and our kids can take it and get CPR certified. So there's things right here that we could, branch out to, but imagine if we actually took advantage of all the opportunities. A little funding goes a long way in this type of work. But it is hard work, and we have 3 incredibly passionate, amazing educators that, like Mr. Kuckle says, he can't imagine going anywhere, and I'm scared it will probably happen someday, but I don't want them to. But they want to grow this program from the ground up. So however we can try and figure out how to support, like we take baby steps, like the medical science, that's huge. Huge. CNRs, my goodness, there's so much that we could do with Middlesex, but we need those opportunities to start doing it. So
time during the day is key. And Killingly, so they have Catherine, they have your favorite, they have a block schedule there. But it was every other day though, they really only had a 7-period schedule, because 1 period every other day was this 90-minute flex block, but that allowed them 90 minutes to get kids out into the community and run their field trips constantly and do it that way. Again, we could do something similar to get students out into job sites and things like that.
That would be the only way I'd want to go back to block scheduling.
I'll hold you to that.
The only way I'd want to go back.
Video, right, Rob?
That's recorded.
One of the things, like with the health sciences in particular, that, because the whole idea that change is a process and not an event, but we can do little things now, and that's just increasing some of the courses that we can offer with the current staff and capacity that we have. So offering UConn biology in addition to our UConn calculus. And yes, it may not be doing all of the different industry credentials, but still leaving with college credits that are helping them along the pathway and on this journey.
So would that just take our regular biology class and adding that the ECE component? Do you have to get registered and certified and blah blah blah?
Extensive training, Catherine.
No, yeah. So the UConn, and that's where we would look at where the masters, where they earn their master's degrees, and that's actually free. The UConn certification is very easy to get, assuming that you have the proper undergraduate credentials. But yeah, so you would offer, let's say our bio teacher, and I'm not saying that our bio teacher has that credentials. Laura was giving an example. It would be AP Bio, but UConn as well, right? So they would be able to get the UConn credit. So those are the types of things that we have to look at as we look at our staff and what their certifications are, cross certifications, things of that nature. So there's a lot of UConn classes that we looked at with PE, for example, and health that would fit into that health field, where we can get those certifications and expand our program. So and really, it's really a following where society's going. We're trying to predict in the future, right? But at the same time, listening to our students, and as we try to find that spot in the middle. You know, we're moving in the right direction where, you know, our students are looking for this. They're craving this. You know, and we have a way, we think, a path forward.
Didn't some hospitals also have a program for example, potential nursing students to spend part of their summer doing an internship type thing at a hospital, which they stopped during COVID, but I know that there were those types of opportunities that we can hopefully align, get the courses that they want to see, and the students lined up with that.
Yep. And then you know, again, looking at our existing structure, we have capstone. That's a mandatory class for juniors. But again, if by their junior year they know career-wise where they want to go, then that's where capstone would really be that year-long investment, you know, into you know, their pursuits and possibly their internships and whatnot. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Just to back up, it looks to me as though this would be done through the guidance office freshman year. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And then you'd kind of come up with a plan
Yeah.
as far as which courses make sense based on your interests.
Yeah, I mean, ideally we would start in 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, I mean, again, it's great that we're starting this at a 9th grade level. We really should be starting this at the middle school. If we could build the program here, we could prepare the middle school to start getting these kids to start talking about careers. Then as they're entering 9th grade, they already have a career chosen. They've already picked a career path. And then at that point, they could really start figuring out what they want to do. And again, if they don't like it, they could totally switch. I mean, this is not like you're stuck. And we're not saying that college isn't, you know, college is terrible. Don't go to college. But it's more of, this is a career you're like, this is the type of college you should be looking at. This is the, you know, these are the classes that you should be taking. And if this is a career that you're interested in, you don't need to go to college. So this is all something that we could hopefully get them started with in 8th grade and then kind of get them ready in 9th grade.
And if nothing else, it's just an elective that they're really interested in, so it works for that purpose.
And that's like, so just use Killingly as an example. They have essentially a not a liaison, but a career pathway that's their job. So they go down to the middle school and they launch that initial presentation. Then when they come up, they do the inventory in 9th grade, and then, you know, get them moving where they want to go. And then essentially at that point, they move on their way with it, get them set up with the internships and so on.
We've done this in the past. I think it's just been on pause because of COVID and such, right? I mean, I know we used to have a school to career liaison and things of that nature.
Yeah. But not, I mean, I'm trying to think, not since.
Okay.
No.
Just one more comment. I thought it was really timely when I received this today. I was at work and I noticed a student come into the building I work in and was shadowing just to see if they would be interested in speech pathology. Not with me, but with my student, and I was in the room with them. And I thought that was, I wish I had done that when I was that age, you know, just having, maybe it doesn't have to be a whole course, but just we have access to all these people in our building for free. If we could just send some high school students down to ECS and let them shadow, you know, a special ed teacher, you know, whoever, a nurse, I thought that might be.
As part of certain students' capstone projects.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea.
I know you went to visit Killingly. Would you be keeping in touch with them over the years for like guidance and seeing how? So you wouldn't have to.
That is
from scratch.
Oh my God, no. Yeah, no. I mean, there's so much, and even with my, you know, I meet with Shoreline principals on a monthly basis. A lot of the Shoreline schools also have some type of career pathway program. I mean, we learn from each other. We learn from different consortiums, talking with each other. To have those contacts is huge. To find out what they're doing. You know, they've already gone through certain experiences. They've seen where they've gone wrong, and they can steer us in the right direction. So, and they were awesome. They were just so welcoming.
Willing to share.
Yeah, they gave us everything they had, pretty much. You know, and said, "Hey, let us know whatever you need." Yep.
Nice.
Long drive though. Long drive.
Go to Sturbridge Village, Mr.
It's a great spot.
Best field trip ever.
Any other questions, comments? Anything at all? All right. Well, this was just informational for tonight. The hope is to have it looked at again in the fall.
I would love to be able to come back even in May with a more formal, so you can see the you know, some of the finer details. So if you have any questions between now and that meeting, we could, you know, hopefully answer those for you and come back with a more official, you know, proposal.
Okay.
if that works.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, on to item C. The last day of school is June 16th, 2022, which, are we proposing it as a half day, or it is a half day?
It's always been, is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
So it's on here just for information?
Yes, just
Okay.
for information.
Okay. Item D is an action item, discuss.
Or Thursday. It's a Thursday, I think.
Thursday. The right month. Thursday. Three raining ones.
Okay, so action item D, discussion and possible approval of the CHS culinary bid. We have Mr. Litwinzik to come on up and explain that.
Please. Okay, we had our bid opening this afternoon. We had 6 bids for the new rebid of the culinary kitchen. They range from $288,000 to $167,000 about for the revised scope of the work. So as you can tell, the costs were not much different than our last bid.
Can you remind us what that was?
The last bid it was up from 342 down to about 165.
So after revising it, it was down to 165, and then went out to bid again, and this is the range that we're getting for the
Right, for the
new
revised,
parameters.
for the
Okay.
revised scope of the project. There was some changes in the scope because we did the MEP drawings ahead of time. So there were some slight changes to the scope, which may have affected that upward, if you will. So we are currently still shy. We are looking at some funding that's going to be hopefully reimbursed soon, and that may help us cover a substantial amount of the costs, but we'll be probably still a little shy when it comes to funding the project, but hopefully minuscule. So we'll probably have to go back to the Board of Finance, I think.
So we have, the beginning of the year, Tommy, just remind me, the boiler at the high school?
It was a,
What was it? I can't keep track of
I know
everything
we've
that
had
goes.
a lot of, we've had a lot of.
Which one was it?
A
There
lot of
was something that
excitement.
went,
Yeah.
and it was at the cost of $66,000.
Correct. It was the rooftop unit in over the 200 wing in the high school.
Perfect. So that, we were, Kerma, the insurance wasn't going to cover it.
Correct.
For months and months, and Lynn McKinney stayed on them and stayed on them and stayed on them until they finally said.
Well, I guess what happened was we had other failures, and there was no rhyme or reason why they denied the first one, and they covered other ones. So we went back. So why did you not cover this first one? Because you've done similar ones and covered them. So they went back and reviewed it, and they said, oh, okay, we're covering it. So basically, for $1,000 deductible, they're going to cover the 66 and change.
So that money will
claim.
go back into an account.
The same money, well, we go
of
to our
where-
unexpended fund account.
Unexpended funding, and we're hoping to be able to use that money to now solve
To help
this
offset,
problem.
to help offset it. So the money's will hopefully offset this, the COVID effect of our, the price increases and everything else that have been going on. And it's close. And there's a couple other projects that are still open in that same funding area of our unexpended funds, which we are pretty much done using. We're going to close those down and add that to that pile, so they'll get even a little closer.
So it's important to remember too, the Culinary Arts Kitchen, it's our project, but it's being funded by the town. So we have to follow the town procedures to make sure we do everything. We got a high bid, we were told to go out, asked to go out to rebid. We didn't come back any better off. So we still
Essentially.
have the same problem, but since then with the 66,063 to 6. We're not exactly sure to the penny yet. We just talked about it today. We think we'll be close as long as everything goes well. We should be maybe $7,000 short, which we think we could probably handle on our own throughout the within the district. However, you never know with any building project, something can go awry, and we would have to go back to the Board of Finance. But right now, we don't think we would have to do that as long as the insurance money is deposited back into that account.
Right, so I'm not actually asking you for anything tonight to award the bid because I don't have money to cover it, and I don't think we can award a bid if we don't have the full funding.
Right. So we'll come back.
I'm looking over the finance director.
Yeah, right.
But the
It's
the
not
town
open,
has
yeah.
to award it.
We're in better shape than you were last time I was up here.
Nothing.
We're just giving you information.
But knowing that we wanted this completed by the fall.
I don't think we have an issue with that, depending on when this money comes available. We're working on that right now, finding out, the check is in the mail type thing.
Exactly.
Because we were told it was already on its way, and obviously it hasn't shown up yet, so we're chasing that right now. And if that comes to
I
fruition,
saw the mailman even on Easter Sunday, so I'd be surprised.
obviously he didn't drive by that particular pickup station.
Okay.
Alrighty?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, action, approval of minutes and motions from our March 22nd, 2022 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Lori, second. Jen, all in favor? Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Everyone was at that meeting? I think so, okay. And then informational item F, we have human resources personnel activity reference C. And we do have Mrs. DeMorrow here, I think, if there are any questions, or maybe not. Are there any questions or comments? No? Okay. Informational item G, principal reports, reference E, F, G, and H. Any questions on those? Okay, we'll move on to policies then. We have a second read. Item A, prohibition against smoking, Series 1000. This policy is from Shipman. It's reference I. At our last meeting, we did review it, and there was one outstanding question. Dr. Macri, you now have more information on it, or? Sorry, the prohibition against smoking?
Oh. Yes, we did get a final answer with our little investigation, Alessandra mostly. Basically, the town owns everything, but they turn it over to the Board of Education. So while it's being used by us, we're responsible. It's if smoking, we deal with it if they're smoking on the property.
Okay. Was that responsive to you, Catherine?
Yes.
You had the question? Okay.
Sandra's probably cursing my name up, but yes. That
No,
was for me.
it was a good little.
So I appreciate it.
Okay.
And I'm willing to vote if we wanted to on this. Do we need to vote?
We do. Yep. So you'll make the motion?
A motion to
Okay.
approve.
Second by Dipty. All in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Policy is approved. And the next one is a first read only. Business non-instructional operations school activity funds, policy 3453 from CABE, reference J. Are there any questions on that? If there are none, we will move it to a second read. Okay. Board committee reports, policy met tonight. Actually, it says March 22nd. We have, what, minutes in here? Item K. We approved those at this meeting?
No.
At your meeting, right?
No, we approved at our meeting.
Okay. Okay. Anything to add from tonight's meeting? No.
We're moving along.
Okay. Facilities and technology, we have not met. We'll meet again on May 10th. Topics for future agendas and possible action items. Any to add? Okay. Comments and updates, announcements from board members and administrators. We'll start at this end. Kelly, Dipty? Kelly?
Nope.
No? Nothing from me. Dr. Macri?
41 positive COVID cases as of today.
Okay.
In the district.
Lori?
Just for your information.
Jen? Alan. Okay, everyone else has gone home, so is there a motion to adjourn? Motion. Okay, all in favor? Okay, meeting is adjourned at 9:21.